Welcome, everybody. We're thrilled to have you here today. This is our first WEAD plus Art Plus Speaker Series event of the new year, Sunday, January 25th, 2026. Woo! Our event today is an Art Plus Science event titled Redesigning What's in Your Closet as a Social and Environmental Practice, with our trio of presenters, Connie, Ulasewicz, Nora Scully, and Michelle Santoro. Connie, did I mangle your last name?
You did it like you're Polish.
Okay, right on. I'll take it. Before we begin, a little about our collective. WEAD, which stands for Women Eco Artists Dialogue, was founded in 1996 as a volunteer-run collective, female-identified visual artists, writers, curators, art historians, researchers, scientists, and others interested in highlighting the intersection of art and ecological issues. I'm Deb Durant. I'm the newest board member at WEAD and coordinator for the WEAD Speaker Series, alongside my fellow WEAD board member, Avery Huter. Avery, am I saying your last name right?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I'm also thrilled to be here with you guys today. And before we introduce our guests, we're going to share a land acknowledgement. So Weed's office sits on the territory of Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County, near one of the largest shell mounds in the Bay Area. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone tribe and other familiar descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize the Ohlone tribe who are campaigning to become federally recognized. The Association of Ramaytush Ohlone who are researching, revitalizing, and preserving Ramaytush Ohlone history and culture, and the Confederated Villages of Lisjan and Sigorte Land Trust, who are working to return native land back to Indigenous stewardship. We encourage you all to utilize the chat, and if you would like to share your own land acknowledgements from your own locations, feel free to do so. I know some people already put in their chat, also with how many inches of snow they got, but feel free to also put your land acknowledgements. And then while we do that, I'm going to just share a little bit of housekeeping. So we are recording this presentation. Please keep your audio on mute during the presentation to reduce all the background noise. If you have a question during the presentation, please put them in the chat, and then I'll be collecting them to be read later during the Q&A portion. We'll have two recordings available after the event today. The first will be a recording of this presentation, and the Q&A will be a separate recording. Both recordings will be posted to YouTube soon, and we will share the links for future watching.
Wonderful. Thank you, Avery. Now on to our presentation. WEAD Art Plus Speaker Series event number 6, Redesigning What's in Your Closet as a Social and Environmental Practice. Your closet holds more than just clothes. It contains gallons of water, pounds of fertilizer, and a significant carbon footprint. If we are responsible for our planet and its people's well-being, we must adopt practices that cause less harm starting now. Our three presenters today are each committed to helping you understand the real impact of clothing production, purchasing, wearing, washing, and discarding, as well as the environmental damage caused by misuse. Dr. Connie Ulasewicz will uncover the waste, pollution, and policies shaping our apparel choices, while Nora Scully and Michelle Santoro will share practical ways to repair, redesign, and keep your clothes in use. Altogether, they'll reveal to us the true value of what we wear. Before we turn the mic over to our three experts, please let us share just a bit more about our presenters. Just 2 lines each on each three. So Dr. Connie Ulasewicz is Professor Emerita of Apparel Design and Merchandising at SF State University and founder of CBU Production. A community engaged speaker, researcher, and author, she collaborates with businesses, governmental, and educational organizations to formulate and encourage ideas and solutions related to the social and environmental well-being of our clothing. Nora Scully is founder of Scully Spark Creative Coaching. She's an artist, creative facilitator, and learning experience designer with a master's in art of education, master's of art in education, excuse me. Her tactile workshops help define creative action while improving our world through social practice, including her ongoing mending and refurbishing garment series, What's in Your Closet? Michelle Santoro learned to sew at age 9 from her grandfather, who worked in the garment district. She earned her MFA in costume design and has taught fashion design as a faculty member at Dominican University. She co-founded the nonprofit Urban Threads Studio, which provides formal textile arts programs for underserved children and young adults. Please all help me in welcoming Connie, Nora, and Michelle.
Hi, thank you.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so we have a big job on our plates today, but it's really in our closet, because what we are here to talk about is the idea of what's in everyone's closet and the social and environmental practice that went into creating them. Our unified feeling is that if we thought more about what was in our closet, we'd be really weighed down and tired, because there's so much fertilizer, water, transportation, and others items. And what we're going to be talking about is 3 basic questions. We are going to talk about what's in your closet. 4 basic questions, excuse me. We're going to talk about what and who are you wearing? How does policy impact your clothing? And how might we reuse or repair?
What's this slide? Oh, we missed this slide.
So
This is how the 3 of us know each other. And as you can see, Kasha's in there. She's from WEAD. Michelle's in there. I'm not in there. And and Connie's there. This is a workshop in my studio. And we came together to do this mending workshop, and this is what brought us here. Mary asked us to come together. But moving backwards, Michelle and I connected at the Pioneers Conference because we both volunteered for WEAD to help with a mending workshop. And I knew Kasha from Pilates. It's just like crazy how things come together. And Connie and I knew each other from San Francisco State. She was a professor and I was an instructional designer. And we reconnected after I did some work in apparel and design at College of Alameda. So it's really serendipitous that we're here together, and we're very thankful for this opportunity
thank you.
to keep this work going. And now we have our overview. And take it away, Connie, please.
Okay, so to give you the definitions that we're using today about social value refers to valuing the people who made our clothing. We don't often think about these people. We think about possibly where something is made or how it's made, but the idea is to give recognition to the people that made them, whether it's Michelle's grandfather or actually my grandfather was in practice in New York City. That's the social value piece. The social practice piece is that clothing is a nonverbal form of expression that communicates and helps us to navigate the world every day. And so there's this image of these people on this page. Someone has an umbrella that's keeping her dry. Clearly, she's not from Seattle. I think someone on the screen is maybe from Seattle. We don't have umbrellas up there. They get wet. They like it. But, a winter coat, sunglasses, boots. Some of these garments have buttons, some of them do not. But it's all about how we engage with each other and communicate with each other without having to verbalize anything. And that says a lot. And that's what we're going to talk about this afternoon.
Okay.
We're going to start with talking about the environmental, value of our clothing. And there's two images on the screen. And the one that says linear fashion economy, there was this concept that we made things from a raw material, and this is a picture of cotton, and then it was designed and it was produced and it was worn. And then after we wore it, well, we didn't need it anymore. So what did we do with it? We donated it to a Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul or a resale store, or we could have thrown it out, or we thought we were donating it to someone that was doing good with it and they were landfilling it. Or the bigger one is that the producers of the clothing overproduce. What do they do with what doesn't sell? Yeah, there were these things called outlet stores that were in existence to sell them, but when they didn't sell anything, what did they do with it? So it was either burned, offshored, something like that, which is a linear fashion model. What we need to be doing is what's called a circular fashion model. So if you begin at the top on this one, you're producing from the fiber and then you're designing it. And then, what does this one say over here? I can't see that on my screen. What's in the circle below design?
Recycle. Oh, design. Distribution.
Distribution. So you design it and then you have it before distribution. What comes before distribution?
Dyeing and processing.
Okay, so what happens is that in the circular, you are going to have to dye it, you're going to have to process it, and you're distributing it, and then you're selling it to someone. And then in the circular model, there are three terms to remember. It's going to be reused, it's going to be recycled, or it's going to be repurposed. Nowhere here does it go back to landfill. Nowhere here does it become trash. And so the circular loop for fashion, for our clothing, is what we will engage you in this presentation. I didn't go to the definition at the top. So the environmental practice, it's the entire global life cycle for grow. And this is something we also don't think about. Where is it grown? Where is the cotton grown? Where is the wool produced? Where is the polyester produced? In another part of the world, it could have become a yarn. In another part of the world, it could have become a fabric. In another part of the world, it could have been made into clothing. And so the impact of all of the pollution and emissions from just getting this fiber from place to place to place to place to place before it sits in our closet. Thank you. So,
You good with this one, Connie, or?
I'm okay. What's in this? This is a picture of my closet. So my closet, it's and it's full of clothing, and it's clothing that's either wrapped or tied or worn on our bodies, as we said, for adornment, self-expression, protection. When I look at my closet, I mean, I know it really well, so I can tell you, and because of my headset, I can tell you the fiber content of everything here. But is it made out of wool, polyester, spandex, and where in the world? The textiles is the word used for fibers. And it's the global network that produces these. The textile industry feeds into the clothing industry, and that's who produces and sells these products. And when you look at your closet, which we're going to ask you to do when you leave today, to look more in your closet at what's there. How many times in the past week have you worn what's there? How many times in the past month or the past year? And that's something to think about. If we don't wear it, should we be moving it on? Or should we be redesigning it in somehow?
Well, when we looking at some of the chat that has been going on a little bit, talking about people are talking about that fit is really important to them, the comfort and the fit. Francine was saying how that's important to her. And Deb, we were talking about like, what is your favorite fiber? And Deb was saying it's cashmere, and because it's soft and fuzzy. These are the things that are personally our relationship to our bodies, the texture, the touch, is really important. And then we could have a very much larger conversation. Sorry, I touched my mouse and it went. Oh, are we ready for that one, Connie?
We
Sorry.
are.
Okay. So, from the closet to the classroom, for me, this campaign, What's in Your Closet, came when I was a student at College of Alameda in the apparel design department. And the final project was to come up with a whole line of clothing. And I was not going to go out and get new fabric and make things because throughout this whole program, I delved deeply into textile exchange and different measures for just all the different things around sustainability. And the thing that I came up with was redesigning what's in your closet. So I wanted to ask all of you to like go and pick 4 items and come back, but we have such a short amount of time that we can't be jumping up and down today. But we can take a look at what we did for Vince. Vince is a drag queen, and he went to Ross and he got this dress that he loved, but it was a size 12, which didn't fit him. And he and I worked in collaboration to figure out what design would work. And then I added the 6 score panels at the bottom, the peplum waist, and the gusset that goes all the way down the arm. And the fascinating thing about this for the people who do make things in the audience and to give you some creative confidence around this, it's just fabric, right? And being curious about your clothes that you can pull them apart and you can put them back together again, to really find out how they're coming together, just like we would in any any sculpture we're making or something like that. So the idea in the center is from Aura Solo from Fashion Revolution. It's a really great organization. She has a book, Loved Closed Last, and a lot of those ideas came from this idea to pause, to reflect, to select, and take action. And I simplified it into just this one diagram. And really, what it comes down to is like, does it need to be cleaned? We had a workshop recently which was about stains and holes, and someone brought a bag of dirty laundry to the thing, thinking we were going to clean it. And really, that's all that needed to be done was what was it? Baking soda, peroxide, and some soap, and the thing's cleaned up pretty well. And then if you can't clean it, can you restyle it? Like Connie was talking about, there's so much in your closet that you don't wear. And then the next is, can we do swaps? Can we mend it? Can we remake it? And then tossing is a whole nother conversation about from what Connie was talking about, that cradle to cradle, what traditionally we've thought of at the end of life of clothing is the dump, right? The garbage dump. And that is not an alternative anymore. And that's what we've been working on in California um, through policy. I'm going to move on to this next. Uh, my friend gave me this beautiful cotton shirt, men's shirt, and I wanted it to fit my bust and my hips, right? It's too big on the shoulders and too small in the hips. And I took it apart and I put it back together again. And definitely I have some advanced skills to be able to make a bell sleeve pattern and put that on there. But I also
But
watched a YouTube video, to see what people are doing. And so I again encourage you that just try it's just fabric, and a needle and thread is just as good as glue and staples.
Nora,
Oh,
who else can I ask to do it for me? I mean, if I want to do something
oh.
like this, what do I do?
Well, you would take one of our workshops, work together with me, work with a tailor. There's, a designer. uh, donate this and go find the style that you really like secondhand. Um, I think that, yeah, seam ripper, get a seam ripper.
Well, that
Um,
sea ripper was on our first slide.
So this slide is that picture is of me and my little sister Sarah and my mom in this bathing suit that's on the left. This is like 1970. This bathing suit is still around. It's still wearable. It's made of cotton. It's very well made and constructed. Um, there's a little bit of some inorganic fabric in the middle for the crotch. Compared to the bathing suit next to it on the right, that's 1 year old. I wear it a couple times a week to the pool, and it's completely breaking down. And Connie and Michelle and I had had a conversation about, like, how do you know what these fibers are? Because in my mom's bathing suit, it did not have a tag that said cotton, but it feels like cotton. And if we did a burn test, it would probably smell like paper and smoke yellow. Whereas if we did a burn test on the purple suit, it would just sizzle and smell terrible. And so I'm not encouraging you to burn your clothes, but there's ways to
I
tell.
am. I am. Go inside and you
There's
take a
ways
look
to tell
at
what's in your
that.
clothes. And
Curiosity. It's just
what,
curiosity.
Connie, I'm sorry.
I said it's just curiosity, and you just have to go in the hem a little bit, or in the side seam, or somewhere, and if you want to know what it is.
With a bucket of water next to you,
Right.
we're in California. We're very conscious of fires.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I highly doubt that her mother's swimsuit would have anything exposed to burn. Those are beautiful those clothes were made as beautiful on the
Sure.
inside as they are on the outside. So,
Thank you. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah. What's the next? Oh, the next one is yours, Michelle. And so I think I'm done here talking about these two pieces. But one of the questions for the audience, I had sent out a survey, and some of you talked about your different favorite fabrics and things, fibers. Someone was talking about that they liked silk and they liked cotton, and I really appreciate your answers that you sent to me about your work in terms of your relationship to textiles, because it's the gamut. Some of you really know how to construct a full garment, whereas other people are just beginners. But also, secondly, where we learn to sew. I mean, some people learned in that home ec class in seventh grade, and many people, it was their mother and their grandmother. And so we have these likely stories that we share as people who wear clothes about how we have learned to make them and how we've learned to adorn ourselves. And if you have any comments about that, please use the chat as rigorously as you like. And
okay, so this is a jacket I've had for I don't know, decades, 3 decades. And so what I have done is look at the cuff, I've circled it, and I'm actually wearing this right now. The picture in the middle is the cuff. These are now repaired, but folded like jeans, the folded edge of something often gets very worn down. Like you see your the bottom of your jeans might be very threadbare. We leave it like that a lot, but on a sleeve, we don't really want to do that. So I did two options here. One is a hem. I hemmed it. I cut a piece of fabric, the same circumference of the sleeve, and then I hemmed it on the right. There are two completed, well, sort of completed options. One is hemmed, which is this, and the other one I extended. Like you can say you want to extend um, the length of something. A sleeve is too short, a pant is too short. You can extend it. So that's an extension.
And I just wanted to say, so on my sleeve, see how it's black here? We were talking about extensions. So I have a challenge with long arms that I always have to extend. And so I went in and there wasn't enough lining, so I added some black fabric and I extended this. to make the sleeves long enough for me, which is something I have to do quite often. And as Michelle was explaining so beautifully with this example, my daughter, as she was growing up and getting taller and taller and taller, and her pants weren't fitting her anymore, if I use the term grosgrain ribbon, I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but it's a kind of ribbon, and it would be easy, and she liked it if it was in different colors, and I was just adding it to the bottom of her pants so that they would still wear. So, preserving treasured clothing. Thanks. So, we've talked about what we're doing to reuse our clothing and redesign it. And there is actually policy that has been passed. California is the first state in the country that, as this picture is showing you on here, it signed into law something called SB 707, which is about extended producer responsibility. And we're the first state to add this such law, which is fabulous. Passed in 2004, was worked on for 2 years before, and will go into effect for all of us in 2008, but it is currently being worked on by everything that has to be set up. The runner, if you will, of this organization for SB 707 is the trash collectors. And I'm forgetting the name in California right now, but because they were enforcing this with a senator from Southern California because of so much clothing that ended up in the blue bin. The blue bin is the recycled bin in the state of California, and people assumed that that's where their clothing could go, should go, and that's where they put it, and it kept breaking down machines. So they were also the one that wanted something like this to happen and to pass. And so it did. So it is now public policy. You will be hearing more about it. Extended producer responsibility goes back to that cradle to cradle model, meaning I produced it and I'm responsible for the entire life. It can no longer be sent to landfill. That's what this is about.
Connie, it's Cal Recycle is running the PRO, the product
Producer responsibility
organization set up for SB 707, and it was CPSC, right, who did the California Product Stewardship Council, who did the piloting of SB 707 before it went into law.
Correct. But working with them, yes. Next one, which will have then on the next one, what we have is what the policy actually is. So again, if you think back to the earlier ideas we were talking about, that someone's designing the product, and then I don't personally like the word consumer, and I'll tell you why. I think one of the challenges we have is we don't consume our clothing. We use that word a lot. How much did the consumer buy? We eat clothing. Excuse me, we eat food. And we consume it. And it doesn't, after we eat it, it doesn't come back as a tomato or a piece of toast or an avocado. But your clothes that you're all wearing today, you're never going to consume them. They're going to stay with you. They don't just go away. So this word also needs to change in people's vocabulary. But from here, it goes to that idea of being reused, like all the examples we've been telling you about, or recycling, which is something, I'll go on a definition of that in the next slide. And there will also be safe disposal. Not everything is going to be able to be reused. And this word product design, producer designs responsibly. What's happening right now is that producers are thinking about how they can make clothing in less quantity, more for specific client and or customer needs. And if any of you are sewers or not, fabric comes in a certain width. And for production sewing, it's usually wider, and it's usually 55 or 60 inches. And we are traditionally making garments and not using it all. So sometimes if you added the pocket or made the pocket 3 inches wider, you'd use that whole piece of fabric. So that's where designers are now thinking about in companies, because companies work so many years ahead. And then for the consumer here, we will be able to bring our clothing. There are going to be 10 to 15 locations throughout the state of California where we will be able to bring our clothing. So we don't have to decide, oh, am I going to bring it to this store, this repurpose, and are they going to, someone will take care of it, and it'll be in good hands. So it's fabulous.
I wanted
Yes.
to say one thing. I'm sure a lot of everyone here might be aware of this, but companies, fashion producers, clothing producers have been in the market for making as much as they can make, not really caring about or thinking about the end user. And so that's also an issue of trying to understand how much is out there, because companies now need to let us know what they're making, how much they're making.
Correct. Yeah, it's fascinating.
So some of the ways that we can make a difference is to mend our ways. And I have a question in the chat of what's your favorite stitch? My favorite stitch is the running stitch. My grandmother, it was like the first stitch I learned, and I think the only one I knew for a very long time. And until maybe home ec in 7th grade, right? Where I got to use the machine. But there's so much you can do with it, from, a basic being able to just hold something together to being a quick decorative stitch. And at this point in time, someone said the zigzag stitch. Yes, that zigzag, whether it's by hand or machine, is the zigzag will, as Michelle was talking about, the fray of the edge, keep that fray together for a long time and really, really can mend with strength, right? The whip stitch. Yes. Um, what do you like about that whip stitch, Deb? Please tell us. Um, I wanted to talk about Conscious Fashion and Remake. Conscious Fashion is an organization that they have a great newsletter, but they also have a great community. You can belong to the community, but they really put out some very interesting information each month in their newsletter about what's happening in the fashion world today. And they also have jobs for about sustainable fashion. And Remake Your World is an organization that started in San Francisco. I am an ambassador. You can be an ambassador. And they have, it's really all about, started from a place of wanting to support workers and have equity in wage for workers who are making our clothing. And so there's a lot about that and the work and the advocacy that they do. And then they have people who can become ambassadors all over the world and locally be doing clothing swaps, be getting together to watch films, and so on and so forth. So I think there's many things that you can do. And I wanted to ask in the chat, like, what are things that you have done or you would like to do to mend your ways? And let's see, I have a friend in Chicago who owns a business that makes custom clothes for women. They use digital patterns.
Yeah, great,
Oh,
great.
Anna is saying, yeah. Connie, what do you think of that?
I think there's going to be more of that going forward. I just also wanted to say something about the running stitch. I saw an exhibit yesterday that was in an Oakland museum, and it was a Korean artist who, she would do hand stitching, was unbelievable on her art pieces. And she started by taking sweaters and unraveling the sweaters and getting yarn from there. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant exhibit. The name of this artist, I can't remember right now, but she then went into weaving, and I didn't enjoy her weaving as much as I enjoyed all of the stitchery that she did by hand. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
And Linda says she mends her clothes. I just asked her what she does mend.
Right.
This is Michelle.
Okay, so I have been teaching sewing for a long time, and this is what I do now with I'm teaching a mending class, and it's with for young people. Um, this is what they're making. This is all done by hand. It's a sewing kit, and the first thing they need to learn, or they don't even know, is how to thread a needle, how to tie a knot. So we learn that, and then they put together their own sewing kit. If I had a sewing machine, I would zigzag the edges of this, which I do. We do use sewing machines at a later point in the course, but this is a great way to teach the basic stitches. It's the whip stitch, there's the running stitch, and the whip stitch on the top and the bottom, the whip stitch around the pin little cushion thing. There's a back stitch making the pockets. And then it's also there. I found these great little scissors. So it's a treasure. The idea is to teach young people, well, everyone, to teach everyone how to sew, how to treasure the act of sewing, how to, create, repurpose, create beauty with what you have. So, and treasure what you have, and treasure the tools and the skills that make it possible. So and they love it. These are young people. This class I have it's very encouraging. It's at full capacity, and I have a waiting list. And these are like 20-year-olds. So it's just encouraging that young people get it, and not. So I'm excited about that.
And we have some really good questions coming up as we near the end of our presentation. That I think if you can stay, we'll really be able to address those in the Q&A. They're really very interesting. There's mending spaces all over the place. If you just Google mending spaces, you will probably find something near you. I know I'm going to provide some online classes this fall and summer for people who are far away. And Michelle and I have done some things in person here in Oakland, and she's got her stuff up in Davis. So again, this is our other piece of our topic is who and what you are wearing. And Connie, this is you wanted to speak to this?
Yes. So I was looking at my closet and saying, I know the fiber content, but would anybody else there? Well, what's required from the Federal Trade Commission on all clothing labels are four items. A manufacturer's name. So someone in the chat had asked about Patagonia. Thank you. So Patagonia is on one, and Ono is on another one. I don't know if anybody knows Ono, but Ono is also a company that cares about the environmental value of clothing, and that's the name of the manufacturer. That's of who made the clothing. We still don't know who made the yarn, who grew it, or who produced it, the fiber. Don't have to tell us that. The second thing is the fiber content. So the one from Ono, all they have to tell us is that it's 70% bamboo, but they wanted me to know that was viscose from organic bamboo. So viscose is a process. That's also, if you see something that says it's 100% or 70% rayon, rayon is a process of breaking down and making a fiber. And the 30% is also cotton, and that's organic cotton. And they didn't have to tell us that, but they did. They're giving us more information. Patagonia, they're telling us that of this jacket, and the reason why I bought it's a vest, and I bought it because I was the outside shell is recycled polyester. The inside, the puffy stuff is recycled polyester, and the lining is recycled polyester, and it says exclusive of trim. I don't know, whenever you see that on a garment, the trim is what? A button, a zipper, anything extra is that. So that's the fiber content. The country of origin, the Patagonia one garment, if you go below that, it is made in Vietnam. What's made in Vietnam? The shell? The insulation, the lining, the polyester? No. That only refers to the garment, the last operation that put the garment together. But we don't know what its footprint is other than that. In the one from Ono, we know that the garment was made in India. We don't know where the bamboo was grown. We don't know where the cotton was grown. We don't have that information. So in California with the new bill, we will have that information. And the reason why it's so important that the manufacturers are involved, because one of the first things that most people do with their clothing tags, they're itchy. What do? Whoop, you take it off. So once you take off the label, no one knows what it was made from, except the manufacturer. The last part here is the instructions. One over here says, the owner says, wear it often, wash however you like, and reach out to us at any time. The Patagonian one is on the back side of this, but Patagonia, the beauty of Patagonia is because of their program, which is repair, reuse, recycle, and they'll take back. And I can't tell you, in all the work I've done with Goodwill, all these items that go to Goodwill that are Patagonia, and I'm thinking Goodwill, if they're not in great shape, Goodwill's going to move them forward. They only sell about 20, 25% of what they get in. Give it back to Patagonia. They'll recycle it. They'll reuse it. And if it's in decent shape and there's just a repair that's needed, they'll do that and send it back to you. There's a few other manufacturers that are doing that.
What is that called, Connie? It's called just a give back program, or
Worn wear. It's on their label. This product is at wornwear.com. So if you want to get a Patagonia, you can go to the Patagonia site and then go to worn wear, and you can get items that have been worn before. What's this word, used? It's used clothing. No, it was worn before. It had a previous life. It makes you feel better than used.
Yeah, Linda's saying that Patagonia also has a mending program where you can send certain items to be repaired.
Have done. It's fabulous. Wornwear. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
So here's another label. These are my Eddie Bauer jeans that are stretch cotton, because they're blended. I want to wear them. I want the comfort, like we were talking about before, but I also want to make these last. And the problem for me with my pants is that the crotch goes. And that's why I say, how about a replaceable gusset? I think the next pair of pants that I actually make, I want to make them with a replaceable gusset. And I've seen some of this in some designs from China, where you replace the center part. So this on the left, they're the same pair of pants inside and out. On the left, I just took the inside of another pair of jeans that had the same stretchable jean denim fabric and put that on there so it matched. But on the inside, I wanted to do something lighter because I didn't want to feel like I was wearing a diaper or something so heavy. Right? Deb's laughing. And you can see on the other side, there's still a hole. It's like Linda was talking about mending. Like, I have a big pile. It's you have to enjoy it or do it in a group, because once you start, you realize, and Avery shaking her head, yes, once you start, you can find so much to mend. I think Linda was saying, her socks, her sweaters, her shirts, whatever.
I emphasize community, because like this, I didn't mend this jacket until this presentation. And that's like, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, with your workshops, Michelle, too. I mean, you and Nora, the community that you're building with those people, it's fabulous. So I'm giving you 3 words here that over time in the past 10, 15 years have actually, their meaning has changed. And these are the definitions that come directly from SB 707. I'm going to start from the bottom up. So the term recycle, we used to use this word for most: repair, reduce. That's not what it means anymore. If you're going to have something recycled, You're going to break it down to its original fiber and then remake it up into another garment. So what was used the most for recycling was plastic water bottles. Plastic water bottles were recycled, and they were melted down, and then they were made into the fleece jackets. That was very popular in the last 5 years, 10 years. Fleece jackets that were selling at Gap and all over, they were made from recycled water bottles. We ourselves on this workshop, we will not be redoing recycling because we don't have the big facilities to be able to do that. We're going to be doing reuse and repair. So reuse is a method to pass along clothing or technically repair a garment that can be redesigned for another end purpose. So the mending that Nora and Michelle were talking about was repairing a jacket, but it wasn't reuse. The example of reuse that I'm showing you here is when at San Francisco State, I would look up and see all these banners hanging. We have them all hanging all over the city in different places. And I would say, okay, this is a campaign about bold works. What happens in 6 months when that campaign's over and they go away and new banners go up? What happens to the banners? So I was fortunate to get a grant from the city of San Francisco, and I investigated what happened, who took them down. And because they're made out of PVC. PVC, polyvinyl chloride, when it goes into the ground, it stays there, honey. It does not disintegrate. Well, that's basically what happens to these. They're not recycled and they're not reused. So we were looking into how we could reuse these. And that's an example of the bag that we were reusing reuse them, and we're giving them out to faculty at faculty meetings from the banners. Repair is an alteration or improvement of a garment that's damaged. Repair could be cleaning. That is technically a form of repair because so many people, they spill their coffee out and they go, oh, can't wear it anymore. Oh, gotta send it to the cleaners. Honey, all you gotta do is take a little towel and wash it off, and then you have it again. But these 3 words are going to stick with us, and I'm very happy to say that there was a group of us who fought for the fact that the Bill SBO 707 talked about repair and reuse in the first couple sentences. It was not originally there. It was all about recycling. So this is wonderful. Next slide.
Next slide. So as we move into repair, I just wanted to say Linda was talking about repairing. She does a lot of her mending in the car, and I said, as long as you're not driving. And she said, well, maybe that's why she'd have self-driving mode.
Oh,
Not. Go ahead, Michelle.
This is a repair of a button closure, your buttonhole broke, and it's a patch. It's a very simple but effective procedure. 3 steps, 3 sewing steps. So it's just, learning these skills is number 1, and then actually doing it. It's can reuse.
Oh, again, reusing remnant. All of my fabric that I get is either on the left is these pussy power pads that were made from a robe that I got in New York many years ago, and this was just a pattern that I took from some previous pads and was able to remake them. And so someone was asking in the chat about how they can remake like a dress without tearing it apart. For me, for this project, I did tear the pad apart so I could make the patches. There are definitely techniques out there for remaking clothing without tearing it apart. This dress, this is just as the campaign, What's in Your Closet, Too Big, Too Small. This was a dress I had worn 10 years ago at my anniversary party. and it was too small 10 years later, go figure. And so I added some faux fur to it by just opening up the side. And I don't think I seam ripped it. I think I did cut this. And or maybe I seam ripped it. I'm kind of a nut about seam ripping things. But I will never work with faux fur again. Even though in this picture there is faux fur, that was the end. That vest I made on the right, someone gave me this fur, and so I used it, but it's so toxic, just goes everywhere, and there's not a natural anything in it.
Polyester.
In the middle it's dolls made from remnants. And then my mother died many years ago, and I have had this quilt of hers for many years. And and it was in a bag in the closet, and I finally took it out. I was inspired by a show I saw at the Met a few years ago, and I took it out and I made this jacket and pants. And it's very sweet to be able to have this relationship with my clothing. And again, we were talking about community mending spaces that you can come together with people who are like-minded. What about real fur? It's hard to resell. Right, right. That's a good question, Elaine. So I think we're at the end of our presentation, and we're really good on time too. Are there any final notes that you would like to share, Connie or Michelle?
I do. The textile artist, I just found her name. It was not the young woman that someone put in the chat whose name I don't remember. Her name is Lee Shinja. Lee, Leeshinja. And the exhibit is called Drawing with Thread. It is fabulous.
Where, Connie, which museum?
I saw it at the at BAMFA, BAMPFA in Oakland. It's
Berkeley Museum.
Berkeley Museum in Berkeley, the Berkeley Museum. Yeah.
So with that said, we want to thank you all for coming. We're going to close this part of our presentation, and we'll move on to the Q&A. If we understand if you need to leave, but if you can stay and be with us, we'd love to have your cameras on if you want cameras on and microphones on so we can all talk. Yeah.
Best way to reproduce an actual garment is to cut it at the seams so you have it. But if you want to, I rarely do that because I want to keep the piece. I don't know, I usually keep it. But you just very carefully trace it. I haven't used organza, but I have been able to sort of pin it to a board, like a cork board, and trace it. If that's a question.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. I have a sundress that fits me like a button and I don't want to take it apart. So that's super helpful. I've never worked from patterns. I just create. So my idea was to put the fabric next to it, pin it, and just like leave an extra inch. But there are darts and things like that that would make that maybe a bit complicated. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, everything's about fit. I think Francine was talking about that, you want it to fit. And so how do I think you would do what you do when you're making a pattern. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what your process is, Shelley, of when you just make. Because if you don't use patterns, then how are you constructing?
Yeah, it's a hack. I am a self-taught sewer, so I was an occupational therapist and was making a lot of adaptive devices for kiddos, and that's how I learned to sew. And I make a lot of Halloween costumes for my niece, and so she believe it or not, lies down on the fabric. We trace with chalk, we cut, we adapt. It's just a mess, but it comes out awesome, and it doesn't have to fit so beautifully. It's not a gown or it's not for prom, it's for Halloween. So we just have fun with it. But I'd like to do more serious sewing too.
One of the classes I've always wanted to teach was like that. You have a favorite garment and you want to reproduce it. So I've done this for friends, and it's when something is very well made and fits you, you do want to keep it. The best thing I can tell you as well is do more than an inch for seam allowance because it's amazing. It's just amazing. And you'll be prepared if it's something you really want to reproduce, be prepared to make a couple of them. Like make a sample and then see, but when you add like 3 inches everywhere around and then you can it's one of my favorite things to do is to reproduce something that fits perfectly.
Love that.
Does-
Thank you.
Another question on a different note here about companies. Could you talk about who runs the companies that makes clothing sold at Target and Walmart and other low-cost stores? So basically, you won't find Target as the manufacturer of clothing or Walmart. So they do contracting out with other manufacturers to buy clothing for their stores. So Target for a while was working with certain designers that had a brand name, and they were saying that this is a line of clothing made from this. The other thing to know that I don't know if Target is doing this, but I know Kohl's does this. KOHLS, the department store. They carry like a brand name like Levi's, and they have a lot of sales on Levi pants. But the Levi, and they're like $9.99 or $12.99 or $18.99. But those Levi pants are not the same quality Levi pants as Levi's is selling in their store. And it's nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you take your microscope to it, most of their Levi's are done in what I'm calling a plain weave, which means there's not as much yarn in them, so they can cost less money. So all these companies, they know who the audience is for their product, and they get products that will be good for their customers.
Oh, go ahead, Connie.
I don't know if that answered it, but go
I
for it.
wanted to, if we feel complete with that, I wanted to address what, Linda, can you tell us more about what you're talking about, Linda, about your need for inspiration?
So, for example, I have this beautiful blue velour sweater from the 80s. So it's like long, kind of tunic style, and it just hangs limp on me and it just looks lame. But it's something I could turn into like maybe a fabulous jacket or something. And I'd love, and like blend it with some other fabric to make a collar or, whatever, maybe do stuff with sleeves or at the waist, So I just love to like browse an image library of things people have done or ideas out there. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
I would say that's the historic costume is great for that. And if there was a certain period of time that you wanted to look into, just Google it online or go to
I
a
want
show.
something contemporary.
You
Like,
want something contemporary. Then what I would do is I would contemporary if there's a certain designer that you like or you want to find out, look at what's showing on the runways and get some
okay,
inspiration. Because online there's that way. If there was a department store that was around us, I don't, but if there's a store that you can go into, even your corner store, not to buy, but just to look at, to go try on, to see how it fits you, take a picture of it on you so that when you get home, you can say, okay, this is what I'm going to do with mine.
yeah, okay.
That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, and for me, I try to twist my algorithm on Instagram, by following people who are doing interesting things rather than being deluged by I mean, anyway. And there is a woman who I could find her name, but you can find somebody else. She just goes ahead and she cuts it off. She cuts up the side. Do you have a serger?
No, I actually don't.
A
Um,
serger is kind of like you can do things by hand. You can do a lot with zigzag stitch, but if you can, a serger,
I
you just
know.
like throw it through there and it kind of brings some things together. But, she's just, and you watch people and they're doing these things. And yes, they have more experience than you, but pick a garment that's not that precious and try something.
Yeah.
It's you have the experience from making all those Halloween costumes to know. I think the hard part when you're doing it alone is, if you want, be like, well, I want it tighter here, and you put the pins in, and then you're like poking yourself. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have other people. And that's why I think the mending circles can be really great because you can come together and say, could you please, help me fit this?
Yes. Yeah. I did techniques of fit class through Kenyatta College, and you were
Oh,
always partnered with somebody and, pinning each other and stuff. So yeah, it was great.
Kenyatta College, they have a new director there. Rhonda Cheney left,
She's
retired. And
retired.
have you taken classes with the new people?
No, I have not taken any classes there in decades. Like this was so long ago that I did this techniques of fit class.
So, Linda, you have this fabric you love and you want to reproduce it in something else, right? Or not reproduce it, reuse it in something
Repurpose
else,
it. Yeah.
repurpose it. Um, one thing about the creative process, I just want to share with everybody is that you need to be flexible to what happens. Like you say, I mean, you could turn that into a bag, you could turn that into trim on something. I don't know. You could do so much with it, but just be flexible with the creative process. You might start out with an idea and a lot of times people are just afraid to cut. So just, have fun with it. It's
So
amazing.
along those lines, there was a quilt artist who I was friends with, and she unfortunately died of breast cancer. And she had the diagnosis of the really aggressive one and went through chemo. She had this quote that I always remember. It's like, of all the bad things that can happen to you, cutting into a really piece of expensive fabric and making a mistake is not one of them.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
yes, try to remember that when it's starting to feel like that anxiety of like,
Right.
because I
Also,
think we're just cultured like
stopping,
supposed to
knowing
do
when to
that.
stop, knowing when to stop. It's like so many blunders when I'm like, but it's 10 o'clock. I just want to finish this. And it's the finishing of the garments that takes the time. It's not the putting it together. It's the hemming and the collar and all those things, the buttons and things that take the time. So knowing when to stop, because also that's when you hurt yourself. So safety first, right? Even if you're using a table saw or right, Elaine? Safety first.
Although Nora, I'm designing a t-shirt and it says safety third,
Safety third. Why?
sometimes first.
What's first and second then if it's not safety?
Let's see, I'll go with butter and hot tubs. No, I don't know.
Are
Do
there
you
other
guys
questions?
do you guys all work with dress forms?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a dress form. I don't work with my dress form much, but I do have it.
I need my dress form to reflect me. The
Right.
dress form is like some sample size that nobody can wear. That was one of the things about going to College of Alameda and the apparel program that you're making all this stuff using these dress forms that nobody can wear. And so really, I think part of my inspiration of wanting to do some of this work and also talking with Michelle is being able to do some of those assignments where you and I, Deb, are using each other and we're helping each other fit and we're figuring out the pattern, the fabric for each other on real bodies rather than these fake dress forms that then
Although
nobody can wear.
You can
although
get
I
dress, you can get dress forms. There was
Yeah.
a class that Kenyatta was teaching
Oh,
about making dress forms for your body. So there
yeah,
are, Yeah. So
Because
that you,
I'm always making everything up, like literally, I'll just make up everything. And I ordered a dress form that's just adjustable. It was inexpensive. So you could set it to all your own measurements with
oh,
just a turn of a knob.
Did it work?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
great, great.
fantastic.
I've seen them like on the side of the street, broken.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it was well made, but it did work.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that. I use a dress form from my grandfather's business, many, from the 60s, and it's old, but and it works. You can pad them, and in theater, that's what they do, because you have actors of all sizes, so you pad them, and you kind of cover it in like a, what are those things? The tight,
yeah, yeah.
the slips, whatever, so you cover them, you pad them up to the measurements. But I've seen those adjustable ones, and I've always wondered if they work.
They do.
Francine, can you tell us more about what you've played around with changing clothing by how they are worn and combining as a preface to sewing?
Oh yeah, sure. So I haven't really like broken out the scissors and thread yet. But I want to. However, like I found some like ways to make something look good, or like update it by like maybe taking a belt with a dress that ordinarily like wouldn't go together, but like you throw the belt in and then maybe like a pair of boots, and then you have like an outfit that is like not like ordinary. And it like changes it, or layering a sweater over a dress, or combining it with like certain tights, like combining in different ways that are make what you're wearing like unique. And instead of putting darts in, like throw a belt on or things like that. It's been kind of fun. Like once I gave myself like permission to look like a little weird or different. Yeah.
And you went to art school, Francine.
Yeah. So right.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
it's the more we play with our clothes and do those kind of things, or do small alterations, or change the buttons, just changing the buttons to make it more you, it becomes more of us, and we value the clothing more and we wear it more, which is what we're talking about. So yeah, that's great.
Does anybody have something to add to that, what Francine just said?
I don't, but I just kind of wanted to thank you guys. I've been watching more documentaries about how things are made, specifically like looking into fabric and rayon. And I just saw this really good documentary by Uni Lee called Colorless, Odorless, and that was specifically going into rayon and how that was um, creating all these lung problems and health problems for the workers in those factories. And yeah, no, it was just so sad. I was just crying so much watching the documentary, and I feel like I'm just so thankful for you guys and how much like this talk just made me feel like, okay, like there are people that are really like interested in making these conditions better. So just like a big thank you. And then another question. I'm really interested in quilts right now because I feel like it used to be a thing where quilting was popularized because there's like not a lot of fabric, so you have to save what's important, the scraps, and repurpose them. But now I'm curious, like it feels like the opposite. Like it feels like there's just so much fabric and so much waste, like what you guys were saying, where like people are throwing them in the recycling bin. So I feel like there's so much, and I'm curious what you guys are doing with like these little odd pieces of scrap that you can't really do anything with. Are you making quilts, or like what do you guys do with those little weirdo pieces?
I keep everything, especially if it's good quality. And there might be a use for it. So I keep them all. I try to keep things in fiber, like all the cotton in color, by fiber and color. I have a silk bin, so I keep them all. I moved, yeah. I moved 5 years ago to the area, and so I had to get rid of about half of my stuff, maybe, but I did keep the special things, and I think that's what Francine's also talking about is keeping the special stuff. The stuff that you uh or maybe it was Nora. I don't remember, but treasuring what we have because we do have a lot. We do have enough, and finding ways to make it beautiful and usable.
Avery, what I do is I use it as a lining for a pillow. I mean, not a lining, but the polyester batting. Instead of polyester batting, it's all this extra stuff that I use from projects. Yeah.
Yeah, I've used it to make some stuffed animals.
Yeah.
The reason I got my whole practice shifted was because I was doing design sprints, and in those design sprints there was this whole empathy interview piece, and I transitioned that activity to be plushy persona empathy interviews. And in doing that, you would interview each other through the plushy toys, and there's drawing involved, but I wanted people to be able to make the toys. And so that's what made me start learning about fabric and fiber. And those little pieces are very good for making little, oh, somebody's got a piece in the chat. Shelly, right. And you can use it what we're seeing in the chat is a beautiful collage made from fabric. And Shelly, how did you set that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. It's just
No,
this
it's okay.
presentation made me think of this. I
Hey.
made so many hundreds of masks during COVID from the extra cloth I had around. And the teeny tiny corners, I don't throw anything away like you were saying. So I just kept them in a bag for a very long time. And then I used just glue, just water-based glue. This is on a scrap of plywood. And I started making collages out of this tiny, tiny scraps because I had made, I think 700 masks. So it was a lot of the same colors that I could then create with because it was hard to think of something else to do with that. And these days, the leftover trimmings from macrame, I'm using those to make like coasters, also with a plant-based resin that I'm trying to, well, TBD on that, but I'm working on that.
Plant-based resin, I would like to hear more about that, but
Yes.
maybe later.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Another use for scraps, Avery, are like the dolls. You can stuff them. You can use them as stuffing for, making creatures.
I've also taken fabric. I took some organic cotton and injected it with mycelium and grew mycelium on it, and the mycelium is eating the fabric, and that was cotton. But they have been shown that oyster mushrooms injected into like cigarette butts actually started eating the cigarette butts. You wouldn't want to eat those mushrooms after that, but so there's also remediation that can be done. And one of the links I put in there is Trashy. Trashy is you pay them to get a bag, and then you can put all your stuff in the bag, and they supposedly sort. Connie, you're shaking your head.
Oh, right. Yeah. I believe they do.
Yeah. And so there's this whole business of sorting and transporting
Yeah.
of materials, which is there's a very long tradition of that in all over the world of garments being collected, broken down, taking the trim off, and being able to separate them. But now, since we have such complexity of high performance garments with so much elastic and spandex in it, it makes it hard. But then there are companies who are working on making biodegradable elastic, and there are companies who are working on breaking down the polyester, pros and cons of whether that's good for the environment or not good for the environment. And rayon is a beautiful fabric, Avery. I'm glad you brought it up. Nobody understands. It's not made in the United States because it causes Parkinson's. It's terrible the chemicals that are being used to make such a beautiful fabric. And
That's why I put the label in there because not all rayon is made the same way. Rayon is made out of a lot of different materials.
but it's not that it's made what it's made of, Connie. It's the how, right?
No, well, it's the how, but not all rayon is made the same way.
Well, because lyocell is a subset of rayon.
No, it's not a subset. It's a brand name of rayon where the materials that break down the fiber are reused. So lyocell is worth paying for.
Right.
And it is a type of rayon, but it's reuses everything that went into the process. So
It's kind of complicated. I want our
there's
roundtable for a
also
second.
this fabulous label here. Yes, I have. There's the two labels here. Have anybody heard this concept? Yes. If we gave more people more information, but there's two things about that. I've heard lots about this and read lots about it. Would it scare people from buying? And that's not what we want to do. And how do we make sure that this information is accurate? So why don't I, if I'm a manufacturer, just come forward and say the chemicals that were used?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Because I am not a fabric producer. So I have to get this information from people. So it's going to happen. It's going to take us asking people this. The one thing on here that anyway, but so there's parts of it that are very good, and there are parts of it that instead of scaring the people, let's just ask the manufacturers for the information. They'll give it to us if we keep harassing them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an important conversation and a big conversation to have. There's so many pros and cons and backs and forths around those topics.
And we've been dealing with nutritional labels on our clothing, on our food that people don't understand and that aren't getting read.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. There are many websites for clothing manufacturers now that if you go in to buy, they will tell you the factory where it's made. They will show you pictures of the factory. Few of them, but some of them are now showing you fabric also and where the fabric is coming from. So it's happening slowly.
I don't know of a dictionary necessarily of materials. I mean, there's Gail's book, but would you consider that a dictionary of materials, Connie?
It's materials and what they should be used for. Sure. Sure.
Do you remember the full title and her full name, Gail?
Her name is Gail Baugh, Baugh, and the title of the book is Textiles, blah, 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 blah.
And if you're willing to share some of this, we could do a follow-up email afterwards with some of these resources so people can have it at their fingertips.
Right?
A fashion designer's directory guide to
Maybe not
fabrics, properties, characteristics, and garment design potential.
That's Gail Baugh's book.
yes.
GailBaugh. And does she also have Wear Move? No. That's her company, Wear Movement.
Yes.
Right. But she doesn't, the book's not coming from her. The book is being sold by other people,
Yeah,
like Amazon or Goodreads or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, would one of you three like to read this response from Shelley on the piece that she was showing us? This is meaningful. This is lovely. Did you see this just a couple back?
You go ahead, Deb, and read it.
Why don't I'll read it, if I may. Hi, Deb, thanks. I made this piece for a group of women I was working with who were modeling restorative economy, creating everything, housing, etc., through repurposed materials and shared economy. I thought of that work and that community as quite sacred. Her piece was titled Sacred. How fabulous this movement that we're embracing.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Let's see, we're winding down. We have about 4 minutes left. I did want to just thank everyone for coming today and participating. And you three, I'm so impressed at how you're engaging everybody in the conversation. as you inform us all with this. Thank you so much. Do you guys want to say a few closing words?
My closing word is to remember to go to your closet. And instead of getting overwhelmed by everything, just take one item and see what you can do to it, to either personalize it more like Francine was talking about, or to change it in a greater way so that you will wear it again and enjoy the process.
I finally got out of the closet, Connie. Now you're telling me to go back in.
Touche.
Just like,
so good.
I want to say, find your communities. We really need. I have piles of mending. I did not I've not done this. I need people. I need community to do this work. And I'm so grateful to meet Nora and Connie. It's been super fun.
Thank you. I agree.
Well, we're thrilled to have had you here today.
Thank you.
And here's to all of us finding community.
Yes.
And we look forward to continuing the conversation.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks for coming.